Listen to me very carefully. I am telling you right now, the truth is harsher, more violent, and more final than anything you are seeing on the evening news. You need to see this right now because what happened in the last hour isn't just another exchange of fire. It is the end of American military hegemony in the Middle East. The impenetrable shield has been shattered, and the people running the show in Washington are terrified that you'll find out just how defenseless our boys on the ground have become. In my time as a Marine Corps intelligence officer, I learned to look past the propaganda and focus on the data. I've analyzed theater level conflicts for decades, and the data I am seeing from my sources on the ground right now indicates a total systemic failure of Western military dominance. As I speak, the skies over the Negev and the Persian Gulf are orange, not from the sunrise, but from the cascading secondary explosions of hardened sites that were supposed to be unreachable. I want you to imagine the sound. It's not the sharp crack of a firework, it's a low frequency rumble that vibrates in your chest, the sound of Mach 7 hypersonic signatures tearing the atmosphere apart. There is the smell of cordite and scorched earth drifting across the Mediterranean, and the flickering communication lines coming out of our bases in Qatar and Jordan tell a story of absolute, unmitigated chaos. Stay with me because the most shocking part of this, the actual smoking gun that proves the Pentagon knew this was coming and did nothing to protect our troops, is coming in just a moment. I will reveal the specific telemetry data the Pentagon is hiding by the end of this video. But first, you have to understand the technical reality of what just occurred. The mainstream media is telling you that the defense is held. They are lying to you. We are looking at Wave 55 of Operation True Promise, and it was a masterclass in saturation tactics. Having studied Iranian missile doctrine for years, I knew this day was coming, but even I am stunned by the precision. They didn't just throw flying lawnmowers at the problem, they used a sophisticated multi-tiered strike package designed to force a mathematical collapse of the Aegis and Patriot systems. Think about the math. We are firing SM-3 interceptors that cost $15 million to $30 million a pop. We are using THAAD batteries and Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles that are finite in number. Iran is saturating the airspace with $50,000 drones and decoy projectiles, but that was just the bait. While the billion-dollar radar arrays were busy tracking the slow movers, the Fata-1 and Fata-2 hypersonics were already in the terminal phase. My sources are confirming that the AN/TPY-2 radar systems, the literal eyes of the American defense posture in the region, were saturated to the point of blindness. When you have 100 targets on a screen and only 20 interceptors in the tubes, you don't have a defense. You have a target-rich environment for the enemy. All bases are currently reporting massive damage. Al Udeid, Nevatim, the logistical hubs in Jordan, they aren't just hit, they are tactically neutralized. The air is thick with the smell of burning jet fuel and pulverized concrete. I'm seeing reports of massive craters on the primary runways, rendered unusable for F-35 sorties. This is theater-level paralysis, but it doesn't stop there. As the tactical strikes land, we are seeing the beginning of a regional war that the elites in DC promised would never happen. This is the stress response loop in action. It starts with a tactical strike on a military base, but it is moving toward a total regional conflagration. And this is where it hits your bank account. If you think this is just a desert war far away, you are gravely mistaken. The escalation ladder is being climbed at a blistering pace. We have moved from a tactical exchange to a regional blockade. The Straits of Hormuz are the jugular vein of the global economy, and that vein is being constricted as we speak. This is where it hits home for every American. The petrodollar, the very foundation of American hegemony, and the reason your dollar has any value at all, is tied to the stability of these oil routes. When the unthinkable happens and the straits are closed, you aren't looking at $4 or $5 gas. You are looking at $15 gas. You are looking at a supply chain collapse that will make the pandemic look like a minor inconvenience. Your bank account is directly linked to the flight path of those Iranian missiles. The elites don't want you to connect those dots because they want you compliant until it's too late to move your assets. Stay with me because I am going to reveal the specific piece of intelligence the Pentagon is trying to bury, the failure of the Black Shield protocol by the end of this video. Look at the logistics. I've spent years looking at the industrial capacity of the Iranian defense sector. While we were offshoring our manufacturing and focusing on social engineering in the military, they were building missile cities deep underground. We are talking about hundreds of miles of tunnels hardened against nuclear strikes, capable of launching thousands of projectiles per hour. We don't have the magazine depth to fight this war. If we deplete our interceptor stocks in 3 days of fighting, what do we have left for the rest of the world? The answer is nothing. We are being disarmed in real time through a war of attrition we cannot win. The psychology of the decision makers in the Pentagon right now is one of pure, unadulterated panic. I know these people. I've sat across the table from them. They are neoconservative ideologues who have never seen the business end of a rifle. They believe their own press releases. They thought the Iranians were backward. They forgot the primary rule of intelligence. Never underestimate your adversary. Iran has spent 30 years studying how we fight. They watched us in Iraq, they watched us in Afghanistan, and they found the Achilles heel. They realized that you don't need to sink a carrier. You just need to make the cost of operating that carrier so high that the American public demands it be brought home. I feel a deep sense of patriotic anger and grief for our troops. These young men and women are being slaughtered because of the hubris of the insider class in Washington. I remember the smell of a ready room before a mission, the tension, the ozone, the quiet professionalism. To think they are sitting in bases that have been rendered indefensible by outdated doctrine makes my blood boil. We are sending our best against a threat we refused to acknowledge until the missiles were already in the air. Now let's go deeper into the technical specificity. The Khorram Shar 4 ballistic missile has a 1,500 kilogram warhead. When that hits a command and control center, it doesn't just damage it, it deletes it from the map. During Wave 55, the Iranians used electronic ghosting to create false signatures on our Aegis displays. This created what we call Aegis system saturation. The computers literally couldn't differentiate between a $50 drone and a Mach 7 re-entry vehicle. This led to a slaughter of our air defense assets. Once the radars were neutralized, the slaughter of the personnel followed. I am seeing reports of hundreds of casualties that the MSM is currently labeling as minor injuries. This is the lie. This is the cover-up. As the regional war expands, we move to the next stage of the stress response loop, global economic collapse. This isn't just about gas prices. It's about the systemic collapse of the U.S. Treasury's ability to fund our debt. If we can't protect the oil, the world stops buying our debt. If they stop buying our debt, your savings account becomes a ledger of worthless numbers. The elites are already moving into gold and hard assets. They know the game is up. They are watching the same Mach 7 signatures I am, and they are making their move while you are being told that everything is under control. Stay with me because the most shocking part of this is coming up. The unthinkable nuclear threshold. The history of the Iranian missile program is one of extreme patience. They didn't build these hypersonics in a vacuum. They built them with the help of those who want to see the American empire fail. Having analyzed theater-level conflicts for decades, I can tell you that the precision we are seeing, hitting specific hangars, specific radar dishes, specific barracks, is something we thought only we could do. The illusion of the technological gap has vanished. The Iranian missiles aren't just good enough. They are superior in this specific theater of war. The smell of cordite is now mixing with the smell of salt and smoke from the Gulf. I'm receiving reports that several of our maritime assets are currently in dark mode, meaning they've been hit or their sensors have been fried by high-altitude EMP bursts. The sirens in the bases aren't even stopping anymore. They are just a continuous wail that signals the end of our presence there. Why did the Pentagon allow this? Because they are captured by the defense contractors. They wanted $100 billion ships and $2 trillion planes, not the simple effective defenses needed to stop a $50,000 drone swarm. This is a failure of leadership, a failure of vision, and a failure of intelligence. I've seen the reports from my sources. The psychological state of our commanders on the ground is one of despair. They are calling for air support that can't get off the ground because the runways are shredded. They are calling for intercepts that don't exist because the magazines are empty. Now, I will reveal the smoking gun the Pentagon is hiding. I have obtained the preliminary damage assessment from a source I have trusted for 20 years. It shows that the Black Shield protocol, the supposedly foolproof automated defense system for our regional headquarters, was bypassed not by luck, but by a specific backdoor in the radar's logic processing. The Iranians knew exactly how our computers would prioritize targets. They slaughtered our forces because they knew our systems better than we did. This is a total intelligence catastrophe. It proves that our entire defense architecture is compromised. This leads us to the final, unthinkable scenario. As the US realizes it has lost conventional control, the talk in the elite circles moves to tactical nuclear weapons. This is the ultimate escalation. This is the existential threat to every person on this planet. We are 3 steps away from a nuclear exchange, because the neocons in Washington would rather see the world burn than admit that Iran has outplayed them on the tactical level. You need to be aware of this right now. The flickering communication lines between DC and Tel Aviv are currently debating the nuclear option because they have nothing left in the conventional toolbox. The emotional shift for me is one of profound grief. I've spent my life trying to prevent these kinds of catastrophic failures. To see it happening in real time, to see our troops in the crosshairs of Mach 12 re-entry vehicles while the media talks about containment is heartbreaking. Our troops are being sacrificed on the altar of a dead ideology. Think about the logistical reality of the unthinkable. If the US even gestures toward a nuclear launch, the entire world turns against us. Russia and China aren't going to sit on the sidelines. They are already providing the satellite data for these Iranian strikes. This is a global realignment. The slaughter of US forces is the signal to the rest of the world that the American era is over. You need to prepare. You need to look at your bank account, your food supply, and your security. This is the reality on the ground. The orange skies over the Gulf are coming for the rest of the world. The $15 gas is just the beginning. The collapse of the supply chain means that the medicine you need, the food you eat, and the energy you use are all at risk. The elites have their bunkers. You have me telling you the truth that the MSM is scrubbing. Stay with me because I'm about to summarize the final piece of the puzzle, the specific date the Pentagon expects the total collapse of the regional front. In my time in military intelligence, I saw how we manipulated the news to keep the public calm. But this time, the slaughter is too big to hide. The numbers of destroyed air defense units, the Patriots, the THAADs, the Aegis ships are so high that we won't be able to replace them for a decade. We are now a paper tiger in the Middle East. The Mach 7 signatures have proven it. The shattered air defenses have proven it. The unthinkable is no longer a theory, it is the current trajectory. I want you to remember the smell of cordite and the sound of the rumble, because that is the sound of history changing. The reality on the ground is that the US has lost the ability to project power against a near-peer adversary in their own backyard. The elites will try to tell you this is a setback. It is not a setback. It is a defeat. It is a slaughter of our tactical doctrine and our brave personnel. I will continue to bring you the data from my sources. I will continue to track the Wave 55 signatures. I will continue to tell you what the Pentagon is hiding. But you have to be the one to act on this information. The world is changing in the last hour, and the clock is ticking. The truth is harsher than any headline. The bases are gone, the defenses are shattered, and the slaughter has begun. Watch the skies, watch your bank account, and for God's sake, watch the truth. This is Scott Ritter, and I'm telling you, the end of the world as you knew it is here, and it's just getting started.